So, is Venom really better on the second viewing? Well, stay tuned to find out. Like a toad in the wind. Oh man, hey there guys, how are you? Welcome to Slate Films. And so I'm going to be doing a little spoiler discussion and review on Venom. Now, I did write a script about 1500 words, and so I'm going to be reading through the script for this entire review so I don't miss the key points because I have a horrible memory. So I hope you guys don't mind. There won't be as much eye contact. Why did that sound so weird? Oh boy. So you know what, let's just get on with the review. So last night I managed to catch this film for a second time, and was it really better? Well, yes and no. So on my first viewing I pretty much thought it was an awful movie, but I did think there were some enjoyable aspects, especially Tom Hardy's performance and also his relationship with Venom. Now, when I got home from the premiere, I started to scroll on my Twitter feed to check out what most YouTubers and critics were saying about it. So obviously there were people who absolutely bashed the film. There is no question about it. I mean, obviously it deserves the hate it gets. I can understand why people hate it. And then there were a few people who said it was a masterpiece. And so one review after another, I really kind of started to process this film, and the debate between the critics and the audiences were vastly different. I mean, the Rotten Tomatoes score is at around 29% for the critics and about 88% for the audiences. Now, was this movie made for the audience? Well, I'm really starting to think so, because there was this tweet tweeted by one of my favorite movie reviewers, Sean Chandler, and I'm just going to directly quote him here. Let me just find the tweet. I'll just put it out on screen so you guys can see it. And what he said was, "It's very important to consider the difference between an audience score and a critic score. Critics go see all movies whether they personally want to or not. Audiences are people who want to see a movie, and it filters out people's predisposed not to like it." Now, so that's what he said. And now this got me thinking about the whole Venom debate. Now, there is no doubt it is a bad film, right? There's no two ways around it. However, upon my second viewing of this movie, I knew exactly what it was, and I just went in there just looking to have fun with it. And I did have fun with it on the second viewing. However, I did notice a few plot holes, and so the negatives are starting to pile up once again. So I really thought watching it again might convince me to bump up my initial grade of a C, but I do stand by it. Now, I did like that quite a bit of things stayed true to the comics, as I mentioned in my spoiler-free review. Now, there are a few complaints that Venom is pretty much the comic relief in this film, but I have done a little research, and according to the comics, he was in fact this plucky character despite loving to bite people's heads off. Now, speaking of the comics, Eddie Brock was in fact this big dude, as he is portrayed by Tom Hardy. Now, in the comics, Eddie Brock actually has cancer, which is why he works out to be this massive dude, and also why Venom connects with him really well. Jenny Slate's character did mention that initially they were using the symbiotes. Yes, symbiotes, I learned how to pronounce it. It's not symbiotes. I'm really sorry. It's symbiotes, okay? Anyways, she mentioned that Life Foundation was initially doing this test to cure cancer. So other than that, despite the horrible CGI, in some scenes, the design for Venom was pretty much comic accurate and looked good in a couple of shots, and I'm not even gonna deny that. Since this is a spoiler review, I'm just gonna say it. The first 10 minutes of this film takes place in Malaysia. Yeah, Malaysia represent Venom. Yeah. Also, to be more accurate, it took place in Cebu, Sarawak. So I think I did notice a couple of horribly audio dubbed actors who obviously couldn't speak Bahasa Malaysia, but it is what it is. Now, I thought the first act was alright. I mean, it did sort of take a little time to build Eddie Brock's character. Now, he's supposed to be this amazing journalist and all, right? But he honestly comes off as this bumbling idiot in this film. Sure, it's entertaining, but it really doesn't tie him in with this reporter character. So, let's get into some of the plot holes that I noticed on my second viewing. So, there were 4 symbiotes, one being Venom, one being Riot, and one was the bluish one that we saw kill the guy early on in the film. And then there was a 4th one that got Jenny Slate's character. But what happened with that symbiote, it's never really explained. They probably cut off some scenes to shorten down the runtime. I mean, Tom Hardy even said in an interview that they cut off 40 minutes of the film, so that's pretty interesting. I mean, I wouldn't mind going into a 3-hour Venom film. I really don't, as long as you could, make it a better film overall. Now, I know I said the relationship between Venom and Tom was the standout of the film, but this leads me to my next plot hole. So Venom initially wanted to take over planet Earth. I mean, he was full-fledged villain for like 3 minutes, and then when Michelle Williams separated Venom from Tom, Tom clearly didn't want anything to do with Venom. Now, wouldn't this drive Venom to further his world domination plan? But instead, all of a sudden, for the sake of a big third act, Venom now wants to protect planet Earth. But why? Because he thinks Earth is not such a bad place? I'm really not buying into that. So I know I said I didn't like the action scenes in this film, but upon my second viewing on a normal screen, I think they look much better compared to an IMAX screen for some reason. I have no idea why. I mean, the motorcycle chase scene was fine. I mean, I thought it was a wee bit ridiculous at times. The fight scene between Venom and the SWAT team was pretty cool. And when the SWAT team said, masks on, and then Tom Hardy was like, masks on, and then Venom came out, I thought that was like really cool. That was definitely my favorite line of the film. However, the action scene in the third act was really what bogged down this film to an absolute low point. I mean, it was pretty much a messy fight. Both Riot and Venom looked a little similar, so it was kinda hard to tell who was who at times. The CG was really artificial and it took me out entirely. I mean, zero suspense, and yeah, there was pretty much nothing to it. So speaking of Riot, I thought Riz Ahmed's character was paper thin. They never really bothered to further develop him, so you really couldn't give two shits about his intentions. I mean, Riz is a pretty good actor. I liked him in Rogue One, and I think he did the best with what he was given. Jenny Slate was also fine, but still another hollow character. Michelle Williams also didn't have much to do, so yeah. Now, this is a quick-paced movie, but the problem with that is the first act kinda felt rushed. And what I mean by that is Eddie Brock gets fired and then instantly loses Michelle, and like they just kinda went with it for the sake of continuing the story. Now, my other issue is that why would Jenny Slate go to Tom Hardy, who's just this ordinary guy who was an ex-reporter, to tell him that Carlton Drake is now doing human trials, which are ultimately killing them? I mean, why not go to the cops? I understand that Eddie Brock knew about Carlton Drake's experiments, but why not bring it to the authority? I mean, Jenny's character could have just taken the picture herself and exposed him. She really didn't need Tom Hardy, but without him, I guess there wouldn't be a story of Venom, right? So it's the little things like this that bothers me and why I wouldn't bump up this film despite having fun with it during my second viewing. So let's talk about the mid-credit scene. When I get out of here, there's gonna be some serious carnage. So I did not know that Woody Harrelson was going to be in this movie, and so that kind of took me by surprise. But when the guard said, hey Red, you've got a visitor, I already knew it was going to be carnage. So Woody Harrelson looks like some hobo. I mean, his wig really looked really fake. I wasn't digging his whole look. Now, it could have been really cool if he went like, there's gonna be some serious carnage, and then a carnage pops out and then it fades to black. I thought that would have been a much better ending, but yeah, it is what it is. So based on the audience's reaction to this film, I think there's going to be a sequel. I wouldn't mind, but I'm not like asking for it. If it comes out, okay fine, I'll definitely check it out, be it bad or good. So here are my final thoughts on Venom. It's no doubt a mess of a film, it's all over the place, but there is guilty pleasure entertainment value. Hopefully Sony takes this as an opportunity to do a proper film for the sequel, and not a rehash of the Amazing Spider-Man 2, but one can only hope, right? So if you guys have seen Venom, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. I'm really interested in what you guys have to say about this film. So yeah, until next time guys, ciao.